My name is Bruce Garrick. I'm
And
here with Tom Chick.
Yeah, I'm Tom
boat.
Chick, and it looks very dangerous up there, Garrick. Be careful.
Yeah, so we were just thinking that we would test out this boat because, naval gaming just seems boring, and I thought, there's got to be a way to make it exciting. So why not stand on the prow of a boat? I gotta say, I'm not very excited.
So there are varying degrees of boringness when it comes to naval gaming.
Okay.
And just for the listeners to know, we're not talking about it's NAVAL gaming. We're not talking about other kinds of naval gaming.
Yeah, like soft porn kind of. Yeah.
Whoa, Garrick! I was thinking more like getting lint out of your belly button.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, there are varying degrees of how boring naval warfare is as far because when we talk about naval gaming, unless you just are playing Windwalker, whatever, that Zelda game where he sails around in a sailboat.
Yeah, that's Walker. It's a misnomer.
Yeah, it's Waker. Wait,
no, Walker. I promise. Trust me on this, Tom Chick.
Because he wakes the wind up. You might be right. Although I think you're wrong. I think it's funny that you think you know something about a Zelda game. Mm-hmm. Wow, careful! Oh my gosh, this really looks daring.
Whoa! Whoa! What are you doing? You got to be a better driver.
You got to be a better stander. Hey, do you know in the movie Great Waldo Pepper what happened when Susan Sarandon tried to do this?
No, I don't.
She fell off. She did it on a biplane that Robert Redford was flying, and she fell off and died. I think it was Susan Sarandon.
Is that Natalie Wood?
No, that's a boat. That's in poor taste that you said that while you're on this boat.
Oh, okay.
So when we're talking about games at sea, it's war games, like
right.
And whether it's video games or board games or whatever, my feeling, and I think you're with me on this, Garrick, is that war at sea is almost always boring. It makes for terrible gaming, with a couple of caveats. But mainly, until airplanes came along, sea battles were really boring because ships just stood there and punched each other.
Yeah, like left mouse click.
Yeah, I mean, and how do you want to make a game out of that? Like that's so, and even especially like serious games. Like if you're going to get wacky, some ships will have special power-ups or whatever. But oh my gosh, you just Natalie Wooded.
I know. I gotta get back up here. Sorry. This thing is very unstable around here. Plus, that boat is clipping.
I don't want to run over you with the propeller of this boat because that would be terrible. It would chop you up.
Yeah. So
careful.
I'm sorry. I interrupted your. Whoops! I just got hit by the boat.
Yeah, I can hear you banging your head against it.
Yeah. I'm trying to kind of swim, but it's not working so well.
I think if you jump near the boat, you're standing in the water.
Yeah, I try to jump, but then I.
There you go, Garrick. Nice work.
All right, that's fine. Okay.
Maybe you should stay on this.
Yeah,
it's called the stern. You're on the stern now.
Oh, I'm like brushing myself off.
Yeah. So it takes airplanes to make naval combat interesting.
Yeah.
And specifically, well, not specifically, but aircraft carriers, of course. Like once aircraft carriers came along and obsoleted battleships, then finally you could have interesting video games and war games about naval battle.
Well, I mean, yes and no, right?
Okay.
I mean, I think that the thing that you're talking about may be just like sort of the tactical aspect of naval wargaming, right? Because, I mean, I think that it's possible to make a naval wargame that has a strategic element to it, right?
Can you think of an example?
Yes, well, I can think of a board game that's a good example. Can't think of it.
Rule the Waves isn't that?
Yeah, so that I'm not a big fan of Rule the Waves. I like it for certain things, but it's a little too inscrutable for me. Sorry, I'm kind of getting in your lap there. It's an odd game because it seems like it. From what my understanding is that it was built out of a tactical game,
right? Where
sort of all this strategic and shipbuilding layer was placed onto an already existing tactical engine, and I don't think it fits together very well. And I think that the scenario generator is just awful. But when it works, it can be quite interesting. But the tactical parts of that are I think the weakest parts. I think the part of building your ships is much more interesting. Except that you have it's kind of hard to figure out what elements of your ships are. I mean, you have to really dig into it. It's kind of like a dwarf fortress sort of thing where you have to do things by trial and error and figure out what works and what doesn't.
If it had aircraft carriers, does it have aircraft carriers? It doesn't.
It's going to.
What?
It's going to. Rule the Waves 2 is coming out.
Oh, okay. So finally, they're going to make naval combat interesting.
Well, I think they're going to break it because I don't think that it's going to really work. I mean, you're going to have all this stuff, right? And then you're going to obsolete it by the fact that a few dive bombers can, sink you.
Right.
I think that the whole engine is going to break when they do that. But whatever.
Well, that's what happened to the Bismarck, isn't it? The Bismarck was your ships punching each other, and finally, someone had the presence of mind to get in an airplane and shoot a torpedo at the Bismarck,
Right.
and they broke its rudder or whatever, and so
that's correct. Yeah,
so it was just like faffing about in the water, letting other ships sail up and punch it. But that's a classic example. Is that until the thing that's interesting about what happened to the Bismarck is the cat and mouse of it.
Right.
Is where is it? Where did it go this way or did it go that way? Should we search over here or should we search over there? And with carriers, by the way, that's the SSG game, Carriers at Sea, Carriers at War.
Carriers at War.
Yeah, I remember that being a big part. Is you're just trying to find the other carrier. It gives you that many more options with the cat and mouse, and also with the timing of when is your wave going to arrive versus when is his wave of bombers going to arrive, and how many fighters are you going to put on cap versus how many are going to escort your bombers, and just adding that layer, suddenly it's not just a naval war game again. Like it adds a different level. It literally adds a different level to the combat.
Yeah,
with air combat.
No, I agree. I mean, I think that naval war games with an air element to them are much more interesting. Have much more potential to be interesting. But I mean, Dreadnought combat.
I'm falling. When you just said the word Dreadnought combat, I almost fell asleep.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I mean, you have to do it in a sort of an abstract way. The War at Sea is a great board game. It's an old board game, but it's really more. It's almost a worker placement game in that sense. Well, it's an area control. You have to sort of put certain workers in a certain place, and then the other player gets to sort of try to exploit those weaknesses because you don't have enough people to put everywhere, and then you roll a bunch of dice. It's unrealistic in the sense that the orders of battle are such that you have to give the Germans a lot more than they historically had in order to even make it interesting, but and have that talent to be more capable. But it's actually, to describe the sort of strategic problems that the Allies had in trying to protect their convoys, and the Germans really, wanted to break out into the open ocean and sink Allied shipping. I mean, it worked pretty well. But nobody's, calculating exactly how fast, the Tirpitz is turning and, where the shells are landing and how much damage they're doing. Because that is boring. There's a great game, not great game, but great concept that actually sort of proved how naval warfare is boring. Is that Eagle? I think it's Eagle Games. I can't remember. Or Storm Eagle. I think it might have been Storm Eagle. They did a game called Distant Guns about the Battle of Tsushima, which is the
Russo-Japanese War.
Yeah, Russo-Japanese War, exactly. Yeah, very good. And they had these, beautiful models for the time of these, turn of the century dreadnoughts, and they had very accurate sort of fire control and gunnery, and you had your ships in these lines and everything. But then you kind of just let them fire at things, and you just watched it. And after a while, it was like, yeah, okay, great. So that ship sank, and it was frustrating. It's really frustrating. I gotta say, when you're playing a game and you are losing, right? Your flagship is getting hammered, and there's nothing you can really do about it. That's a terrible feeling, and I feel like the that's kind of the ultimate sort of. That's the worst strike against the idea of a naval war game, is that because you don't have so much control, or you can't really have that much control, or you have limited ability to affect the outcome once your ships are in battle. It can become very frustrating.
That's where you do your flood control. You decide which areas of flood control you're going to prevent, and you're putting out fires. What I wanted to show you over here, Garrick, in the
Yeah.
single player game, and unfortunately it's not here.
Hmm.
In the single player game, there's a submarine over here,
Ooh, submarines.
and you actually get in the submarine in Grand Theft Auto 5, and you have submarine missions.
Hmm.
Which reminds me, by the way, of speaking of adding another layer to naval warfare. How can we be talking about naval warfare being boring when Harpoon is out there? Because are you going to tell me? Because I'm not going to tell you this, but are you going to tell me that Harpoon is boring? You're even thinking about it? What?
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, I remember playing Harpoon back in the old days. 1990. I actually, you know what? Here, if you could see me right now, Tonchik, you would see me holding a box of the original Harpoon.
What? You mean like
Just happened to be
the download
Yeah.
code for Steam?
No, the original Harpoon, like the first, like the box that has like the guy with the binoculars on.
Wow, like that had floppy disks in it at one
Yep,
time?
absolutely. Yeah, the floppy disks are no longer there.
Why
but,
are you able to reach from where you're sitting here playing Grand Theft Auto 5, reach out and grab a Harpoon box?
Well, I mean, I'm packing. You've been up in my loft. That's where all the games are, and I'm packing them.
Okay.
I sat down to do this, and
It's not like you have a space where it lives on your desk.
No. It just I have a stack of boxes that I'm trying to figure out what to do, like how to pack all this stuff because I'm moving, and yeah, there's Harpoon right there.
But Harpoon is an example to me of where there's enough stuff in naval warfare. I mean, Harpoon is no longer, this never happens, about ships standing next to each other and punching each other. Harpoon it's about a fundamental tenet of modern warfare, namely, if you can see something, it's dead.
Yeah.
And Harpoon is all about detection and all that cat and mouse, but with high tech. And especially the way it models submarine warfare and how submarines subvert a lot of detection. Like Harpoon, I think, is awesome. It has to do this weird thing, though, with the pacing, of course.
Right.
Where, because it's not two ships punching each other, and the measure of time is how long it takes to load a gun, whatever, you've got to be able to compress time. So, by the way, we're going to get in some different vehicles.
Well,
See these jet skis? Come over here and get in the jet skis with me.
What's happening? Jet skis? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the old Harpoon being interesting, but I now the newest Harpoons seem to get very technical.
Oh well, yeah.
And I don't find that. So yes, I mean the old Harpoons were simplified and pretty neat. I don't know how much of that was novelty at the time.
There's a lot of hardware porn involved, and in this day and age, we kind of want fancy graphics with our hardware porn. But back in the old days, just having all these stats for like an Arleigh Burke destroyer,
Yep.
like that was really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
You could look at where it was mounted, like where its missiles were mounted, and what sort of guns it had, even though they were useless, and how it would deal with submarines. And
How do I get on this thing?
it depends. You'll of course be using your gamepad. You press Y on the gamepad.
Oh, okay. Well, I hit Y and nothing happened.
What do you use to get into a car?
E.
There you go. So press E, and you should be getting on your jet ski there.
Oh,
There
no,
we
sorry.
go.
F. For get in the freaking car.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay, so Garrick, we're gonna play follow the leader, near the leader.
Okay, here we go. So
Now, yep. Go ahead.
yeah.
Because I was gonna ask you, what's the best naval warfare game of all time?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Well, that's hard to say.
Well, you know what? I should say all time. We don't know what's coming in the future.
What about Silent Hunter?
Okay. Silent Hunter, certainly, I'm not sure I would call it naval warfare so much as an important aspect of naval warfare, submarine games, but I'm thinking of the whole shebang. And I suspect you'll see, once you see where I'm going with this, it's not a game set at sea. It is a game...
Undersea.
No, it is a game set in space called Sins of a Solar Empire.
Really?
Which I just love the way that it emphasizes fleets, and there is also a little bit about, not detection, so well, there's a little bit of that. But it gets at this idea, too, that almost all naval combat happens really close to land, because that's the only thing worth fighting for.
Right.
I mean, nobody's going to fight over a patch of ocean, and any time that there are battles like that, it's because, whoops, our fleets ran into each other. But Sins of a Solar Empire just feels way more like naval combat to me than a lot of naval combat games. As far as also like controlling land, and how that can, and kind of this idea of air superiority with having a gravity well and having fighters in it. And by the way, are you just going straight out to sea?
I want to go to Japan.
I guess it is this way. Let's see
Don't
what
they know
happens
how
if we
to
go out
fight?
here all the way. Yeah, is the game going to eventually say, invisible wall, you can't go any farther?
Oh, is it true?
Let's find out. I don't know.
You can't get to Japan, is what you're telling me.
I don't know. We're going to see what's going to happen. We're going to really put this game to the test.
Yeah.
So far, it seems, Garrick, this is a little scary.
Yeah, I get that. I'm getting a little unsettled too, aren't?
Every now and then, so we have out here in California, there's an island called Catalina that people can take a ferry to. It's relatively close. There used to even be a casino on it. Every now and then, people do something stupid, like they'll get in a kayak and think, I'm going to kayak to Catalina, or they'll get in a jet ski like this. And the currents, like, wash them out to sea, and the Coast Guard has to go rescue them.
Oh wow.
So we might be two of those people.
Yeah. Well, I have a question. So let's address one other thing that we haven't addressed. What about naval warfare in the times when you didn't have engines?
Right, and you had to just the wind. You had to tack and stuff like that.
Right.
'Cause I recently.
Do you find that any more interesting?
No, it's less interesting.
Really?
Yeah. So okay, I say that I like the ship combat in Sid Meier's Pirates,
Okay.
but it's super arcadey.
Right.
Like, I'm not sure it says much about naval warfare. It
Okay.
says probably arguably more about something like Space Invaders. But no, like sailing ships look cool, but the actual act of having to control them and that's just
You control them.
Well, having to deal with keeping them in formation with the wind and whether you're downwind and there's this nonsense about, hey, can I cross the T or not? Did I get lucky enough that I can?
It's pretty clear, right? You have a counter that shows which way the wind's going along the next grid. You have orders that you write each turn.
But I don't want to go. What if I want to go a different way than the wind? I guess.
And some ships can, and some ships are going to have a hard time.
Oh, and my only meaningful decision is: do I load chain shot, grape shot, or do I just use round shot and smack his hull?
Or do you board him?
Yeah, do I board him? At which point, it's no longer naval combat. Now it's hand-to-hand combat. My engine just died.
Yeah, so did mine.
Garrick, this is our watery death.
Yeah, this is our It's kind of our Waterloo.
I feel like Ahab here. We're being dragged down. I can't even back up. This is what happens when you go too far out to sea.
Yeah.
This is kind of chilling.
Yeah. Oh, wasted.
Wow, and here we are back on the beach. Well, at least I'm back on the beach. I don't know where you are.
Yeah.
I got resurrected on some beach. You're apparently not here with me.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you go out to sea. When you get too far away from land, it's like sort of nature doesn't want you out there, so it just kills you.
Yeah, that's nature. We should stay more land based in our combat discussions from now on.
Well, we were designed for that, basically. There's a reason, Garrick, that we have legs and not fins.
Yeah, that's true.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we agree. Naval war games mostly boring. There are ways you can sort of spice it up, and they mainly involve airplanes and submarines. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm getting sand on my pants.
Let's see. Hey, you just crouched. How'd you do that?
I don't know. I hit Q for crouch.